Today is the 21st, right?
Right, yes, sir.
It's the 30-day anniversary of what the lawyers who've seen the tape and the family who've seen the tape said was clearly a modern-day execution. Before I go any further, I want it to be clear that the young and the old, the folk marching in the street, and those that are pushing for full investigation, we are unified.
Together, that's right.
We come here, Dr. Spearman and I are both North Carolinians. I was born in Eastern North Carolina. My father went to Elizabeth City State. I've got cousins in this city. I grew up with Keith and his brothers, and my father and his father were just like that. We're not outsiders, we're insiders determined to get inside what the truth is.
That's it. That's it.
And that's why when we close this press conference, the letter that we would normally send up to DOJ, to the NAACP, and repairs of breach are put together with the Pasqua tank, normally it would go up under the signatures of the presidents. But today, we're going to actually have the community sign. Because we want U.S. Attorney General Garland to understand that all of us are demanding a pattern and practice investigation in both the sheriff's office and the DA's office that will cover this county and all the counties that the DA began in this county, but then cover all the ones that he got. And that's serious business, pattern and practice. And that we stand behind a full FBI investigation of the Justice Department. First thing I want to make clear, this is letters going up, and Keith and your brother tonight, as people gather, we want more folk to sign on. Preachers, you all can take this to your churches and have your members sign on. Let's send Marlett God, let's send him a 500 or 1,000 signatures and say we need expedited. We need an expedited.
Yes. Yes.
Like right now.
Yesterday.
Right, because of the lying and the untruth that's going on. We are people of faith, and we know only the truth can set you free. The second thing I want to say is what happened this week with District Attorney Wamba is nothing less than scandalous. And I've talked to some lawyers, high-ranking lawyers in law school, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't being biased. And they have said to me that was one of the most biased,
That's right. Yeah. Yes, it was.
Contrary to jurisprudence,
Yes,
press conferences of a DA they had ever seen.
Ever seen. Ever seen.
Ever seen. First, the DA is not the defense lawyer for the deputies. He's supposed to be for the people.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, why would the DA have his press conference at the same time of the historic appointment of a black female, Eula Reed, to the Superior Court at the same time? Thirdly, why did he keep repeating, we couldn't let him go?
That's it.
Did y'all? See, sometimes the Spirit makes you say what you don't really want to say, and you don't even know you saying it. Who ever heard of that? This is not dead or alive. A warrant is not a license to kill. We have had Dalen Roof, who really killed people in South Carolina, came to North Carolina and was arrested and given a lunch. There are case after cases where people who have committed mass murder have been arrested. I mean, even in our history, we arrested Al Capone. They didn't even kill him. We couldn't let him go, Keith, President. We couldn't let him go. First of all, where was he going?
Yeah.
If you're a real police department. And he was riding away.
That's right.
And if you were concerned about exiting, why didn't you block the streets off? And why didn't you make sure that the city chief of police knew you were having a tactical SWAT-like team in a residential and school zone.
Talk about it. Tell the story.
Now, I don't normally cuss. But what the hell kind of fools you think we are? Now, we are nonviolent, but we ain't peaceful. Not in the terms of just being quiet and accepting. We are concerned, we are disturbed. If this becomes the pattern of the law of the land and the law of North Carolina, that a warrant is a license to kill, and that a DA has the decision that we couldn't let him go and allows murder, who is safe? Look at what we see just happen in Louisiana on CNN last night, where they didn't release the tapes for 2 years, and now look what's coming out. They said the man was in a wreck. We can't have this kind of cover-up. Huh? And it's scandalous. It's the worst example of jurisprudence by a DA that I've ever seen and many attorneys ever seen. I had one, last thing I'll say, I had one of the officers from another county when this first happened, he spoke on anonymity. He said to me, "This is all our fault and this is bad." And he was white. He said, this is bad. I hope more of them will come out and say that. The DAs across this state ought to be speaking out against what Wombo did. Then there's a second thing, and I'm through. What do you mean, DA Wombo, the only way there can be recourse to what you did is at the election box? What country are you living in? Because in these United States, see, we understand it. That's a form of Southern arrogance that thinks that you have so much state and county rights that the federal government has no authority over you. Maybe that was the case when Trump and Barr were running things. But now we know that we have a U.S. Attorney General and people who are willing to do pattern and practices, and we're calling on them to do it post-haste. For him to say that, well, you can't touch me, you can't say anything about it unless you come to the ballot box. And then on two things, he's not even running again for DA, trying to run for the judgeship. But that's not America. Even the DA has to submit to the U.S. Constitution. The 5th and 4th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, equal protection under law. Under law. And so we don't have to wait till the ballot box. We can get a federal investigation now. We can call for pattern and practices now. We can keep marching nonviolently now. But the kind of nonviolent march that creates the necessary, what Dr. King called positive tension. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And make it very clear. Make it very clear. We don't plan to go anywhere. If anything, I want to say today we're already in conversations about how we can work with the local to intensify our nonviolent actions and agitation. We've already been in contact with people across the state that want to do simultaneous marches with the local folk all over the state. We stand with those who have decided to engage in nonviolent civil disobedience, because this cannot stand. None of us is safe until all of us is safe. And a piece of paper, a gun, and a badge is too much power for a racist, for a bigot, and for a cover-up. And a warrant is not a license to kill. And you never say that officers of the law have the right, dead or alive, because that's what that means, the way I interpret it. We could not let him go. Could not let him go. Now, I didn't say that. That's what Wombo said. Yeah, huh? That's right. That is the question. What did he know? That's why I'm raising it. Why? Why did this have to happen to this young man? Why couldn't they let him go and arrest him alive? Why? That is the question. That is the question. What did he know? And what did some people not want him to let the rest of us know and the judicial system beyond this county to know. And so until there is truth and full accountability and transparency, we will continue. And today, after the questions, if you have any, we're gonna line up, and we hope you all to take it. The young folk, we want young folk, anybody. If you're in America, you can sign this letter. That baby can sign this letter. And the young folk here, and it's going straight up to D.C. And I understand from Keith, President Rivers, if you have to, we're gonna get a bus. Y'all gonna get a bus and go up to D.C. The first week in June, and he'll tell y'all about that. But make no mistake, what Wombo did this past week will only intensify and embolden our nonviolent righteous agitation, because we must have truth, we must have transparency, we must have accountability, and we must know what did he know that made it such that they couldn't let him go. Are there questions from the members of the media? Any questions from members of the media? If there are none, let's line up. Yes, sir. Who are you with?
Wavy TV.
Yes, sir.
What do you hope a federal probe would accomplish?
The federal probe does two things. We need an FBI investigation of the murder itself. Remember in South Carolina, when the DA didn't convict Michael Slager, who shot the brother Scott in the back on camera? Remember, it was the federal government that came in, they filed federal charges, and they convicted. The federal government convicted, even though South Carolina. The same thing could happen here. But there needs to be a full criminal review. You see up in Milwaukee now, there are 4 officers that are being prosecuted under the federal guidelines. So that's the first thing. But the second thing we need is a pattern and practice. What's going on? What's been going on? What gave these officers the feeling of impunity that they could do this? What made them think they could roll up in the city of Elizabeth City and not even talk to the city police? What made them think they could do this with a tactical unit? What made them combine with Pasquotank and Dare County? What is it from? Because the DA covers all these counties. So if you read this letter, it'll be very clear about what is being asked for. But he started this. He started this, Wombo, and we're going to end it. He started it. First, when he defended the officers to keep the tapes from coming out. That was the first wrong thing, bad. And secondly, when he said, if you want any recourse, I'm not quoting him exactly, you just meet me at the ballot box. No, Mr. Wombo. No. So we're going to sign, and we're going to let's create a line.
Reverend Barber?
Yes. Another question?
May I speak to the man from Wavy?
No. Yeah. We want to have this, but we want to focus on this signing. Can we get this signed? Can y'all get in the line? We want y'all, this is the most important thing. Let the media see you taking your actions as a community. Come on, Rev. Come on, young folk.
Two lines.
We can do 2 now.